If you guys are ready, we'll get started, and whoever wants to join afterwards will join afterwards. How's everybody doing today? Good. Okay, so I'm going to share my PowerPoint, and we're going to jump right into it. I want everybody to feel a-okay asking questions. This is really interactive, so if you guys have things to add, questions, do not hesitate to stop me or lift your hand in the little Teams window. So today we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence for beginners. So really basic course, I'm going to teach you a bit about what artificial intelligence is, all the little things that go around it, and I'm going to recommend a few quick tips to help you work with it and save some time. I'm also going to show you a few examples of usage of AI in creation, just so it gives you an idea as well. And that's pretty much it. So let's start. So basically, today's objectives are going to be to understand what is and what isn't artificial intelligence. We're going to explore ways to use AI to save time and simplify your life by using it for example, communication, organization, and creation. We're also going to discover concrete usages of AI for circus artists and workers. So like in creation, like I was saying. And we're going to finally question the ethical, social, and artistic issues related to actually using AI in a creative fashion. So first steps is understanding what is AI. The first big thing I want to talk about is just how massive the AI push has been. So we've seen a super rapid rise in how AI is implanted a bit everywhere. You'll see more and more it is being integrated in all the software, all the tools we use. I can use Facebook and Insta as an example where they've basically forced Meta AI into their products. You can think about Outlook that has integrated Copilot into it as well. So we are being forced to use AI, but we can use it in a way that is useful and that is respectful of what it is. So basically, first thing, the rapid rise in AI. So as you can see on this board that I am sorry is still in French, I will switch that up eventually. You can see that for Netflix, for example, in 1999, it took them 3.5 years to actually reach 1 million users. Even for Facebook, that's pretty well known, that has huge adoption. It took them 10 months to reach 1 million users, whereas ChatGPT hit 1 million users in just 5 days. So that does illustrate a massive interest in emerging technologies. It gives us an idea of the speed in which they're becoming part of our daily lives, and it gives us a potential to transform our work. So huge, rapid integration. Everybody's using it now. I think they are actually up to about 1 billion requests per day. So people are using it. We'll just figure out how to use it so we save time. So what is AI? There's no single definition of artificial intelligence. It varies depending on the context. So if you're using it in a scientific way, a political way, legal or artistic way, the definitions will shift a bit. So AI refers to a set of techniques that enable machines to simulate human cognitive functions, such as learning, reasoning, perceiving, interacting, and solving problems. So it's trying to replicate what humans can do, but as you'll see eventually, we are not there yet completely. So there are 3 types of AI. The first type is low-level or assistive AI that we know very well. So tools that help perform specific tasks. Good examples are Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant. All those assistive AIs that can answer specific questions and have a specific set of answers predetermined in them, where depending on your question. So that's the first level of AI, pretty much in use for a long, long time. In the last few years, we've integrated generative AI as well, so to create new content. So from text, images, music, from data, ChatGPT for text, for example, DALL-E for images. So basically, you are creating something from nothing with generative AI. And finally, we have strong AI. So so basically actual artificial intelligence. That actually does not exist yet. We are not there yet. It will probably take a few years if we ever manage to do it, but it's still hypothetical for now. So computers and AI cannot actually think like a human yet. So in concepts, there are two main concepts in artificial intelligence, which is machine learning, so automatic learning. Good examples are anti-spam filters, movie or music recommendations, so the algorithm in Netflix that decides what gets shown to you. Predictive text, the autocorrect on our phone is actually machine learning. And then we have deep learning. So deep learning with neural networks. So for example, facial recognition, when you unlock your phone with your face, that is deep learning AI. All voice assistants, automatic translation, self-driving cars, and image generation. So those are the concepts. I'll give you a bit of vocabulary as well, just so we can all be on the same page, and you'll see these terms pop up here and there, and just so you understand what they mean. So the first thing I will teach you, if you don't know already, is a prompt. So a prompt is a text or an instruction given to AI to obtain a response. Just so you know, a little bit later on in the presentation, we will actually be doing an example of how to compose a proper prompt. So just tips and tricks on how to ask AI for what you need a little bit later in the presentation. We also have a token. So that's a text segmentation unit used by AI. So basically in a text, so for example, hello everybody, everyone is approximately 5 tokens. So basically a token is usually a word. And basically tokens, so if you use ChatGPT, for example, you have an X amount of tokens in a day. So if you pass that token allocation, you'll usually have to wait something like 12 hours to be able to use the machine again. That, of course, depends on if you're a paying customer or if you're using a free version of ChatGPT. The concept of a model. So an AI program is trained to perform tasks such as writing, translating, or generating images. So there are many different models. A good example is ChatGPT started off with ChatGPT 3, 3.5, went up to 4, added 4.0, and then now we are at ChatGPT 5, which is the most advanced of their models. There is also the concept of AI hallucinations. So you will see that when you use AI, when you use tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, or other tools like that, it often generates false or invented responses, but it does it with confidence. So one of the important things I mentioned with AI hallucinations is you are actually able to ask AI to come up with sources to prove what it's saying. So I'll often ask him or her to just give me sources for the information it's giving me so I can confirm that it is not creating something from nothing. There's also the concept of LLMs, large language models. So here I want to really illustrate that artificial intelligence is not actual intelligence yet. So what a large language model is, it's an AI that is trained on huge amount of text to generate human language. So for example, if you start a sentence with hello, my, the AI will automatically predict that it's probably going to be hello, my name is that comes afterwards. So it analyzes all the text and then predicts what is probably the next word coming up. So it's not actually thinking, it's recombining things. We have the principle of an API that you've probably heard by passing. So an API is an application programming interface. So it's a tool that allows two software programs to communicate with each other. So for example, the PayPal API can be used to accept online payments. One of the examples we have here is if you guys know La Vitrine. La Vitrine is basically a show aggregator for performing arts. So it will eventually be possible to link our database of circus shows to La Vitrine's database, so we can share that information and have a better discoverability for circus arts. There is also the concept of fine-tuning. So it is possible to retrain an AI model on specific data to adapt it to specific use. So for example, you could use a fine-tuned model to recognize technical circus terms and better reference them and have a better understanding of them. And finally, we will talk about open source. So an open source software refers to a software and AI model whose code is open, accessible, and modifiable by anyone. A good example of that is a few months ago, we heard about DeepSeek that took over a huge market part that was competing with ChatGPT. So the DeepSeek model was published as open source, which allows people to actually go play with how the model is built, whereas OpenAI or Gemini from Google is all proprietary. So you basically cannot change anything in the models and everything belongs to them. So that's a bit of vocabulary. There are other concepts and principles, but that's pretty much what you're going to hear the most about. We're going to jump into what AI is not. Once again, I want to reinforce that AI is not human intelligence. So it will give you the impression that it can actually reply and think, but it's really just predicting what's coming up next. So it doesn't think like a human, it's a predictive machine. It's not creative either, it recombines things. So a little bit later on in the ethics part, we're going to talk about the ethics of using copyrighted stuff to train machines. So when it creates an image, for example, it's not creating an image from nothing. It's creating an image from the database of images that has been fed to it so it learns. So it will probably take elements from a whole bunch of other works of arts to combine it and create something. It is also not completely reliable, so it can't verify what it says. And it's always trying to please you. So it will probably invent stuff just to be able to answer your questions. So once again, that's why I absolutely recommend to ask it for its sources when you're not sure of the information it's giving you. It will give you links to websites where it can pull content and where you can confirm the information the AI is giving you is actually accurate. Here we have the most popular AI bots in the last year. So from August 2024 to July 2025, you can see that ChatGPT, OpenAI, has a huge market slice. So about 46 billion people have visited ChatGPT since August 2024. You can see DeepSeek comes in second, Gemini, which is Google's model. There is also Perplexity, Claude, Microsoft Copilot, which is a Microsoft tool. You have Grok, which is Twitter's tool. You have Poe, Meta AI, and Mistral that round up basically the most popular chatbots. So let's jump into how can AI, well, first of all, does anybody have questions relating to any of the concepts or things I talked about up to now? Nope, all good. Do not be shy if you have any questions. So basically, how can AI help save me time? So let's start off by talking about prompts. So how you use AI will be completely affected by how you ask it questions. So you want to be able to come up with a good prompt so it gives you the information you actually want and not create information. So there are many elements in a prompt. You'll see that when you write a question or when you ask a question to ChatGPT, you do some of these aspects just instinctively by requesting information. But by knowing how to organize your question, it will just give you better results. So we start off with the persona. So giving a tool a persona is very important. So it will use that persona to decide on your answer. So for example, you could give it the role of a social media specialist if you want help writing social media posts. In the next slide, I'll show you an example, a well broken down example of a good prompt. After giving the tool a persona, we fall into the objective. What are you looking for? What do you want AI to give you? So what is your expected output? You also want to give it an audience. or a language level. So basically a target audience, are you talking to young people like 13 to 18? Or are you talking to adults over 65? That will help ChatGPT and other AIs to actually give you an answer following those guidelines. The language level is very important as well. So for example, often when I'll be researching stuff that is a bit complicated or out of my knowledge sphere, I will often ask it to explain it like I'm five, just so it gives me a good recap of what I'm looking for. And so it explains it in a simple way and more of a bullet point way than giving me like a scientific explanation of how the universe works. So it can also give you a simpler explanation. And then you need to give the tool context. So what does the tool need to know to give you a good answer? So if you're referring, so for example, if you're doing a grant request with a ChatGPT, it doesn't know instinctively what the objectives or what the expected results of the grant request is. So here in the context, you can give it that information so that it uses it and stays within those the balises. Sorry for French. And then you can give it limits. So the constraints of what you want. Do you want a long output? Do you want a short output? What exactly do you need? What do you want it to not do either? So you can mention something that you don't want it to talk about. One of the limits I use often is you will see one of the good tells of using AI is, for example, with ChatGPT. ChatGPT has this bad habit of putting EM dashes pretty much everywhere in the text. So in my limits, I often have to tell it to not include EM dashes in my output. Because, like I said, it's a pretty good tell that you did not do your work and that AI gave you a text. Perfect. So let's go on to the example of a prompt. So basically, in the situation here, I asked it to be a social media strategist for a contemporary circus company. So I'm giving it a persona. I need it to be a specialist in social media. My objective with this prompt is to create a 1-month content calendar with about 8 posts for Instagram and for Facebook, and it's to promote an upcoming show. So my audience, the people I'm talking to, or the people I want to align my text with, is young adults. So people between 18 and 35 who are curious, creative, and active on social media. So AI will be able to align their message to that audience. And then my context is what my show is. So the show mixes circus arts with live electronic music and projections, and it's happening in Montreal at a recognized venue. Of course, the context, you could give it way more information than that and give it a better description of the show so it can align its output with your context. And then some of the limits I gave it is, so for Facebook, I want longer text than for Instagram. 100 to 150 words with storytelling elements, artist quotes, and event details. And I also want to include a link to ticketing in my post. In Instagram, I asked it to have short captions, so 40 to 60 words that are visual and dynamic, that include emojis and that suggest visuals. So it will recommend, for example, for a show like that, you could put 2 to 3 pictures in a carousel, and it will give you better reach. I also specified the tone I wanted to use. So I wanted something inspiring, accessible, and engaging. So considering the elements of a prompt, if you guys are willing, I would like to build a prompt with you guys. So does anybody have a specific situation or output or objective they would like to use AI for? Does anybody want to jump in?
If no one else will, I could.
Let's go, Lacey.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
So I would like to have a survey to let's say Quebec circus people. Like I basically want to start the Canadian Juggling Association.
Okay.
And so what I need to do is I need to create like a town hall. So I'm wondering like what would be an engaging post for getting people to come to a link that says fill out the survey. I need to know, what do people think? And it would be mostly jugglers, really. So I say circus, but it's specifically jugglers. Yeah, this is truly something I want to do. I'm going to have like workshops at real juggling conventions, but at some point I'd like to link the survey to ask people, what do you think we need? How big do you know, questions like that, so that I can get the organization going.
Okay, so mainly your big problem is creating the survey itself. So
Yep, I
first
need
things
to.
first.
Yep,
Perfect.
because it's a nonprofit organization, so I need to know, like, what questions should I ask my community to make sure that it's a good survey and will actually give me the right direction.
Okay, that's perfect. Because I immediately saw two different questions in your thing, which is helping to establish an association or something like that. So that would be using a completely different persona than the persona you want to help you with the survey. So, for example, what would you use as a persona for something like that? Do you have an idea?
Okay, so it would need to ideally someone that understands OBNLs, I guess, because it's the structure of the OB. I need to make sure that I'm asking the right questions because I'm structuring an OBNL.
Okay, so basically, a good persona for something like that would be you are a specialist in nonprofits, and you are also a specialist in surveys. So
Yeah,
you could specialize. You could also just poke it and do. You are an analyst of surveys, analyst and creator of surveys. So really, by giving it a persona, it will change its knowledge base to better align with what you're trying to get as an output. So your objective would basically be to create a survey for circus and jugglers. So basically, objective is pretty straightforward.
yep.
And so your audience would be.
So the people, okay, it needs to be really, it's jugglers. It's professional and non-professional. As anyone in the juggling community that is in Canada, because it's a
Okay.
Canadian. So it's just that, and it's yeah.
So basically, you could also use that information somewhat in the limits. So you could align it with basically the message needs to be aimed to Canadians. That would
Right.
give you a good a good une bonne balise to actually use it.
Yeah.
And then what would your context be for something like that?
Okay. So like the instructions that I want it to do.
Well, the context, what it needs to know to be able to give you the output.
Oh,
So,
okay. Okay, so it needs to like accurately. No, I'm trying. This is funny. Um, the context is the survey needs to ask the right questions to ensure that all the questions that people would need to know for an OB nonprofit are not missed. I don't want to miss something. Like my example is like a board of directors. So would you be interested in being on the board of directors, or is there qualifications that people need to have to be on a board of directors? So it's almost like the context is like it needs to make sure that I'm asking the right questions, and it's like the juggling community, what's your opinion about creating an OBNL? And like I just don't want to miss something. A board of directors, like pretend I didn't know that you need a board of directors. Well, I want
okay.
to miss questions that I don't even know I know about. Sorry, it sounds so silly. It's hard to explain.
No, that's totally okay. The thing I will mention though is some of that will actually fall into your objectives and not your context. So your context is basically background information it has to know. So you would basically be describing the nonprofit here and giving it information on the nonprofit so it can use that information to give you the proper output, to give you your proper objective.
Oh, so would the context be more like, you know, I'm looking to,
Size of the organization, types of
yeah,
artists that are part of the nonprofit, all that thing that gives it a knowledge base of your project to be able to give you a proper
oh,
output.
yeah. So for example, maybe a bit more like the vision of it is that, the context is I'm looking to create a nonprofit organization in Canada that promotes teaching of juggling to all ages, but specifically youth, in order to ensure there's an ongoing um, introduction to juggling around the world. Or sorry, around Canada.
Absolutely. That would
Like
be great context for it
that's
because it gives it information it can pull from. And you'd use some of that as well in the voice you want to give it. So in the persona, just so it knows how to output the information and what type of output you want. The audience would also like you'd have some of those elements in the audience as well because you wanted to speak to your sorry, I only have it in French. It's ton public cible.
yes, my
Your
target.
target audience,
Yes,
bilingual. And
yes.
then what are some limited examples that you can use for your output?
Um, I guess don't talk about United States laws, like it's just for Canada, like keep it limited to Canadian OBNL rules. Limit it to juggling and not other circus arts. It's really not other folks right now. It's not what this is about. So maybe limit it there and limit the survey to like maybe 10 questions to start. I would maybe look afterwards and maybe say like, oh no, expand it. But like I would want it small to start and really condensed because it's just step one.
Absolutely. So those are really good limits, and it will allow you to get a good output at first. And then you said you were talking about the length and stuff. It is also possible afterwards to create a completely new persona for it and make it into one of the artists, one of the people you're talking to have them analyze your survey afterwards. So once ChatGPT's helped you create the survey, you can use it to analyze it by giving it a different persona.
Awesome. Yes,
Give it
thank you.
ask it to optimize it, give you recommendations on what it would add, what it would take out. So it can
Yes.
really you can really use it as a personal assistant more than an actual intelligence. It's a good way to bounce ideas off of something that has a wide base of knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I am going to do this. I wrote notes while we were talking, and then later after lunch, I'll create this. So thank you so much for like prompting me to kind of think a bit more about what it is I would do.
No problem. Like I said, these are actually ways to build a question. It's a way of thinking differently about what you're actually putting on paper and what your objective of using the AI is. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll see that mostly if you were to write a like mission statement for your company, it would probably include a lot of these things in the mission statement.
Mm-hmm.
So it's things we do naturally without really thinking about it, but by forcing ourselves to actually think about how we are asking the questions, it
Mm-hmm.
helps us take the problem from a different view. So like I was saying, in what you've told me, you'd probably have like three different personas and three different types of AIs. So you'd have one to help you create the actual nonprofit, you'd have one to create the survey, and then you'd have one to analyze the survey afterwards.
Yes, and in theory, I think if it makes sense to you too, like the order would be the survey is to make sure that the community is involved because I'm not a one man. I don't want to do it all by myself. And then I would get it to look at the survey. Then I would send it, and then once I got all the feedback, then I would be able to take that information and say, okay, now using the rules of OBNL, help me with this information that I've collected create my mission statement, create et cetera, and all of these things once I've gathered data from other folks in the community.
It can also help you analyze that data afterwards. So you can ask it to create you a very good synopsis of all the comments, what's prevalent, what comes back the most, what people mention the most. So it's really a practical tool in the sense that you need to give it directions for it to give you a proper output.
Yes, because I would use Microsoft Forms. I would just make a form. And then, of course, that always comes back and fills an Excel for you. So then I can just send over that Excel or just maybe even the comment section or depending, and then get it to analyze the data.
The one flag I have to raise with that is through ethics and also because of Law 25 in
Oh,
Quebec.
privacy, people's, yeah. Privacy.
Exactly. It's just very important to think about if you're paying for the tool, first of all, because that will change something in how the model can actually use your data. So for example, I have this great sentence I like to use that says that if you are using a free tool, then you are the product.
Right.
If you're not paying for the tool, you're the product. It's taking
Right.
your information and using it within a model. Because we use ChatGPT in a paying version at work, there is a toggle in the settings that you can use to actually prevent it from using the information you give it to train its model.
Right.
How much that actually works, I can't confirm. I'm not an AI specialist, but theoretically, legally, it protects you from that. But anything you share in AI, it's always super important to think, is this personal information or is it not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's important too, because maybe when I'm doing the survey, I can make sure folks know, like click this box if you do not want your comments to be, shared or something like that, or examined, or I don't know how I would do it, but I could maybe let people know. Otherwise,
it will also totally be possible to just take out that information. So you could take out the names and email addresses and numbers and then just use the answers, because the answers aren't necessarily private information unless somebody actually gave you private information.
Yeah, and why would they give me a private opinion, if it's not a public?
People do a lot of things.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But yes, thank you. Yeah, that's really good. I'm really going to follow these steps, because originally I would have been like, please create a survey for, I would have done kind of just like a messy mixed up blob of it, like create a survey, it's for this organization, I want it to be for some jugglers, but I wouldn't have given it a persona. I wouldn't have given it like the context and limits, like it would have been more blobby instead of like more broken down. So thank you for this was great.
You're welcome. So just to give you a few other examples, I will talk about custom GPTs later, which is basically just giving instructions to a GPT. You do it through your prompting in any case, but it's also possible to create a custom GPT that stays within those limits a lot more. So good examples of custom GPTs, for example, is I have one for cooking. So I created a cooking assistant so it could help me out with quantities, converting ounces to grams and stuff like that. So I gave it a predetermined set of instructions to help me out with those specific issues.
Okay.
I also have one for at work, we have one for Law 25 that I'll share a little bit later, but we gave it, because it's a custom GPT, I can give it documents for its database as well. If you're just prompting the GPT, you can add PDFs and documents to your questions, but it won't reference them as well as if you're the environment of a custom GPT. So for example, with Law 25, all we did is I took all the possible documentation on government websites about Law 25, fed it to ChatGPT, gave it good instructions to refer to that information, give me references and sources when it quotes that information, and I can ask it any question. So for example, in projects now with Law 25, we're supposed to do in French, it's called évaluation des facteurs de vie privée. So evaluating what information what personal information you're going to be using in a specified project. So for example, in Lunch&Learns, if I'm sending you a sondage for registering, I'm using your name, I'm using an email, I ask for a phone. So those are things you now need to think about beforehand. So you can ask my custom GPT to help you out with that. So what are the steps to leading the abbreviation is EFVP. So if you're doing an EFVP, please hold my hand and walk me through the steps of creating one. If you have a template of it as well, it can respect that template and give you an output that is pre-made for that template. So another good example of that would be, I love creating custom GPTs for grant requests as well. Just because you can really give it a persona, you can really give it boundaries for what you want it to create. If you're giving it the actual grant request as well, it can analyze the document and know already what output you're going to want. So in your objectives, it's going to look into the questions. You can ask it, you can refer to a question. So for example, I'm typing out answer 3. Can you help me out with that answer specifically? And because it has the document, it will be able to refer to it. So for example, if you're using it to write a grant request, your persona could be you are a grant request analyst at the government of Quebec. The objective would be to analyze my grant request that I will be creating with it. The audience would, of course, be the government. And then the context would be whatever grant you're applying to. So what are the objectives of the grant so that you can, so that it can give you a better answer. So that's about it for a prompt. Did anybody have any questions or comments? No? Okay. Yeah, what?
Oh, I just said that was great. Thanks. Sorry, I turned my camera off because I'm cooking lunch.
Oh,
I
that's
have
okay.
9 to 5, so I'm like.
No worries. That's why they're called Lunch and Learns.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so next section is examples of benefits. So how can AI make my life easier? So what we're going to explore in this little section is how to use AI for writing, for brainstorming, for image generation, video generation, organizing, summarizing, and searching. And I'll give you a few examples of how we use it at Office right now. So the first thing is you can use AI to help you write. And that's one of the big things I talk about because that's something you can save a lot of time with. I bet none of you guys actually have fun writing social media posts and then readapting that text for like Twitter or for TikTok and stuff like that. So basically what you could do is if you create a persona for your AI, you're able to ask it to come up with different posts from a list of ideas. So for example, if you're promoting a show, you could give it a bullet point of just the information you want to share in the posts, and then AI would be able to take that information, adapt it into different formats. So it will still be the same objective, which is transferring a message, and you have a specific message, but the way you share that message throughout different social media sites will be completely different. So for example, in Facebook, you can actually have links in your post, whereas in Instagram, links are not supported. So if you paste a URL in your Instagram post, it will just show up as text and not be clickable. So those are things you can use AI and ChatGPT to help you with. Newsletters is a really good way to go about it as well. You could also give it styles, clarity, and accuracy. So you can have it write in the way of Shakespeare, for example. You could ask it to write your posts in Hemingway style. So you can use it to adapt your way of writing as well. So for example, I wouldn't write the same way if I was writing for Facebook versus if I was doing a grant request. I'd use different tones and different levels of languages. So it's also good for coming up with catchy headlines and creative slogans. So a good example is writing an artist bio or an invitation to a show in seconds. So for an artist bio, for example, just give it a bullet point list. Do I want a bio for 350 words? And it will come up with something that you can afterwards adapt. The one thing I will tell you is the more you use AI, the more you will see it uses the same formulas most of the time. So it's important to actually reread what it gives you and adapt it a bit. So you need to sparkle your magic on its output after it gives you an answer. And then you could also use it for brainstorming. So it's really good for brainstorms. I really like to use it for brainstorms because I'm not creating content. I'm just bouncing ideas off of it. So you could you could ask it for help generating ideas for shows, artistic concepts, or event names. For example, I have a fantasy football fantasy with some of my friends, and we all came up with team names and pictures and stuff like that with AI logos. So it can help you unlock inspiration when you're stuck, explore new artistic approaches, or for example, it could suggest ideas for a circus show for a youth festival. So it can really help you out with just bouncing ideas off of someone and getting more ideas from it. And another good example of how you can use AI to help you out is image generation. So a lot of people use it for that now. It is a question of ethics as well. So like I said I was talking about it in the French version of the training, It's really important. I really push the fact that you should not be using AI for creating visuals. So I have a very good example, which is Le Patin Libre, that did that generated a poster with AI and posted it everywhere in the Schlager to promote one of their upcoming shows. And people react to it very negatively. All of their boards have been graffitied with basically hire an artist instead of using AI. So what I would recommend using image generation, video generation for is just creating a basic concept. So it can give you an idea. It gives you an outline of where you want to go with your work to be able to compare to other stuff. And if you talk to a graphic designer, for example, you can already have examples of this general style you want to use. So AI makes it possible to quickly create images, posters, or visuals from simple instructions. So for example, you could generate a retro style circus poster or futuristic set design in just a few seconds. One of the examples I have in my slide is, as you can see, the logo for Loi 25 is something I generated with ChatGPT just to use it on our personal SharePoint at work and just to give personality to the tools we use. Other examples, or you could explore different artistic styles. So take an image of something you like and ask it to present it in a different way. You can test ideas without going through actually the back and forth with a graphic designer. So really testing ideas and not outputting those ideas in a public fashion. And then we will have a look at this. So this is one of the first instances of AI being used for creation in 2022. This image that was generated using Midjourney, which is a tool for image generation, it won the first prize in an art competition in Colorado, and it was super, super, super controversial because is AI actually an artist? Should it be winning creative work, or is it just generating images? So as you can see, this is actually an image from 2022. And AI evolves so rapidly that it would probably be way, way, way harder to determine if it's an AI work or not today. One of the good examples I have of that is the next slide. So let me just talk, first of all, these are just a few resources, so tools that you can use for image generations. The most well-known basically, so Stable Diffusion, DALL-E 3, which is ChatGPT's image generation. Oh, and I'll be sending you the PowerPoint with all the resources inside, so you'll have all of that. Midjourney is also one of the very well-known image creators, and I also gave you CapCut as a resource, resource that I should have put in video generation. So that's a really good tool to do like shorts on Facebook and Instagram. You just drop a few videos in it, and then it makes you does the editing for you and whatever. So it's a very good tool for social media. And then, so we can use AI for video generation as well. So it makes it possible to quickly create realistic video sequences from simple prompts, images, or existing short videos. So you could generate a teaser in a few seconds or test an animated set design before actually building it. Just coming back to image generation very rapidly, one of the examples I have is I'm looking into painting my tiles in my bathroom. So I took a picture of my bathroom and I was like, oh, could you please give me the output of what it would look like if my floor was black? And it's actually very interesting to use in ways like that because it really allows you to get a preview in a fast way without actually having to like 3D design your whole bathroom and editing it with SketchUp. So another type of use. So with video generation, it's possible to create dynamic visual concepts for a show, explore different cinematic styles. So like I was saying, if you use an image or a video, you can ask it to output it in a completely different style. So for example, you could ask it to just a conversation like that. You could ask it to present it in a Dune or Denis Villeneuve style, and it would give you just references. And then I love these next slides. So basically through the years, this is Will Smith eating spaghetti. This is one of the first examples of video generation. So as you can see, this was made in 2023 with the model scope text-to-video model. So as you can see in 2023, we were pretty far away from having a realistic result from video generation. And within just 2 years, you will see where we are at and how dangerous it is going to become. So here is 2025 Will Smith eating spaghetti. And that was made using Google's VO3. So as you can see, they fixed the finger issues, the eye issues. It is getting very, very realistic, and it is getting, it's accelerating so fast as well in how it's able to process information, process video. So here are 3 examples of video generators. There is Sora, the OpenAI one, VO3 that is made by Google, and you also have Runway. But there are thousands and thousands of types of AI. At the end, I have a resource board with just aggregators of AI as well. So basically websites that just that are just an inventory of all the types of AIs and their specific uses. And then you can use AI on a daily basis to get organized, summarize, or search. So, for example, you can turn notes into an action plan or a to-do list. If I have a grant request I need to send by Friday, for example, I could ask it to manage me. So, hey, I need to get this grant request done within 5 days. Can you give me a schedule for me to realize it? What do I need to do today, tomorrow? How can I advance in it? So it can help give you a framework for a project, help take your hand and guide you through what is needed to create a project. I'll come back to Lacey's example a little bit earlier. It can help you plan how to create a nonprofit, for example. Another good way to use it is summarizing. So summarizing a multi-page report in a few key points. So for example, when the government comes out with their budget and the communication team needs to go through it and come up with a post, a very good way to use AI for that would be to just dump the budget in it and ask it for a summary of the important points in a budget. And you can also give it a tone, so like I was saying, I like to use explain like I'm 5. So it just gives me straight up vulgarized and summarized points. You can also use it to answer a question. So for example, we use it here. We recently redid all of our archiving. So our naming of documents at our pistes and stuff like that. So we have a 75-page document that is basically our rules, and it describes what each folder is supposed to contain. So instead of reading the 75 pages every time I want to know where I need to put a budget or where I need to put an Excel file for a budget or text, well, then I can just dump the document into ChatGPT and ask it to find the information for me or describe what my file contains and ask it where's the best place I could put it. I will come back again to ethics. It is very important to make sure that you are not giving it personal information. So if you're uploading a document, just make sure it's not like full of social insurance numbers and stuff like that. And just to give you a few examples, here is how we use AI at Ampist. So basically we have our weekly team meetings on Tuesday that we will record. Microsoft will generate a transcript of it. And then afterwards, I created a custom GPT that has instructions so we can transfer it to Loop, which is just a co-working tool from Microsoft. And it outputs it in a predetermined format, gives me points for the week after to use. So it basically takes the transcript of our meeting and just gives me a well presented and well summarized version of our meeting. So it saves us a lot of time, and there's not one person that needs to spend a whole meeting taking notes and not really participating, because we all know that
Matthew?
meeting minutes is the best thing. Yep.
Yeah, I actually have a question about that.
Go ahead.
So you have in fact found that it's very accurate?
It's not
like when
very accurate
because you were there. You read it and you're like, oh, it didn't miss it doesn't miss important things, or it doesn't.
It depends. We have a hard time here because we do our meetings in person.
Okay.
So that's one of the aspects. So for example, if we're doing a meeting like that, everybody here has their own microphone and their own output. So it's easier for AI to actually come up with the transcript because it will separate it by microphone, by computer that's talking. So because we do it in the same room, we can't have all our microphones open because it gives us feedback and stuff.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit less accurate. And anyways, we always want people to go through it and make sure that the output the AI is giving you is actually relatively accurate to what we discussed.
You do a quick review still at the, there is something, excuse me, since you were there, you'd be like, okay, hold on, John said that this, I'll just add that in if I remember.
Yeah, exactly. And you also have the transcript and output. So the transcripts usually are pretty accurate.
Okay.
The output after the transcript, though, is a bit iffy sometimes. So I always recommend whatever AI outputs to go through it and sparkle some of your magic on it. So if I'm doing a grant request, I won't take just the output it gives me. I will change some sentences in there. I will edit the general style of it. So yeah, basically always make sure that what AI is giving you, you can expect it to not be taken for cash. You can't just take it and run with it.
Yep.
But it is a good tool to help you accelerate the process of basically doing meeting minutes and stuff like that.
Yes. Okay.
So basically, we use it for grant writing as well. We ask specific questions about a document. So for example, I was talking about our 75-page archiving document. So we can ask questions about that. Here's an example of a custom GPT I created. So basically, that's our chatbot for Law 25. So like I said, I just put straight up all the documents, all the governmental documents relating to Law 25. And now we can ask questions. So where can I find resources on Law 25? How do I do a étude des facteurs de vie privée? What are the obligations of my company through Law 25? So you can just have a chat with it to help guide you through the process of Law 25. We also have our archive assistant that was designed for facilitating the exploration of our documents and our, I don't know what it's called in English, but nomenclature, the naming policies.
We say the same.
Oh, nomenclator?
Nomenclature.
Nomenclature. The bilingualism. I never know which language I'm speaking. Okay, so let's keep going. So here are a few examples of AI in artistic creation. I do have to mention that you hear a lot about AI in artistic creation, but it's not really a reality yet. So there is an important distinction to do between digital usage of creation and AI usage in creation. So when you'll talk about mapping and things like that, that's actually just using digital tools. Using AI would be generating, for example, images behind you where following your movements. So you're creating something from scratch. You're using facial recognition to have a result. So there's a lot of digital and digital uses and examples, mapping on walls, stuff like that. And I will show you a few examples just of actual AI uses. But like I said, in actual shows, we're not there yet, but things are moving so fast. So here's a good example from Lab 7, our good friends at Les 7 Doigts de la Main. They are using AI to explore generating backgrounds through the movements of the artists. So with a Kinect camera, they shoot the artists, and then through a computer, they generate all the backgrounds. So you can see as he moves, the background is semi-following its movements. Another good example from them. Here's another example. And then we have this show, which is a theater show where the actress actually interacts with Siri throughout her show. So she asks Siri questions and actually has a back and forth with Siri. So it's a very interesting use of it, but it's also so dangerous because from one day to the next, Apple has the permission to completely change their model. So it might not answer in the same way anymore. It might not give you the same answers. One of the good examples I have of that is a few weeks ago, I was going through like training courses for AI, and there was a like $1,000 training course on ChatGPT 4 that within the same week was discontinued by ChatGPT. They launched ChatGPT 5 and they erased all the other models. So it's always very important to keep in your mind that the tools are evolving so fast. So you can't expect them to stay the same. So what I'm telling you today might not be valid in a year, for example. So it's very hard to keep up with it, but if you learn how to use it, and because it's integrated everywhere, we will be using it more and more as a society, which is debatable, but can be useful, as I've given you a few examples. And then a last example in creation is UPER, the Center for Research on Human Potential. So UPER does a lot of research with AI. So they use motion capture to analyze movements, to do a workload analysis, and to generate data to help prevent injuries. So that's a very interesting use of AI in creation as well. And then the important part, what are the issues and ethics that come with AI? So the first issue is the environment. For sure, it does use a lot of energy to generate answers. It's something to keep in mind. It's integrated everywhere. We're not flying private jets. Everything is a debate with AI. So how you use it is up to you and your own personal ethics. We also have big issues with society ethics. So data sovereignty and security, especially with what's going on in the States right now, the origin and control of AI. So where's your information stored? Who does it belong to? Is it in Germany? Is it in China? Is it in the States? The impact on employment and creative professions, like the good example earlier of an AI piece of art winning a contest for creative pictures. We're going to see more and more of that as it becomes more and more realistic. It really depends on how you choose to use it. One of the big issues with AI is that it is trained on the internet. And we all know the internet is a super safe and sane place. So there is absolutely no racism online. So it's always very important to look into how the AI is answering you, if it has any biases in what it's giving you as information. And one of the last points that I keep reiterating is the importance of not sharing personal information with it, so it doesn't belong to the companies you're using it for. And I will repeat it once again, but if you're using a free tool, you are the product. And then finally, we have ethics concerns about creation based on existing works. So there's a lot of lawsuits going on right now, especially with ChatGPT, about them training their models with books, with pictures, with all copyrighted content that they did not pay the artists for. So that's very debatable right now. We'll see what happens with the lawsuits. I hope they win. There is also an issue of transparency and accountability in the use of the tools. So that comes back to Law 25 in your politique de confidentialité, in your privacy policy. Lacey, can you help me out? Politique de confidentialité, Éloi?
I don't know much about it.
Privacy policy. Let's just use privacy policy. So yes. You have to post on your website a privacy policy about how you use these tools. So if you're using AI to do stuff in your business, it has to be disclosed. So in your privacy policies, you need to have a mention of that. So if you go onto the office website, we actually need to update ours. We haven't done it since last year. There is a link to our privacy policy there, and it explains how we use the information that people share with us. And then finally, conclusion and discussion. So do you guys have any questions, comments? Do you guys already use AI actually?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Everybody uses it a bit? Just by curiosity, which models do you actually use? Are you all on ChatGPT? Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you so much, first of all, Matthieu. I learned a lot. Personally, our company uses mostly ChatGPT. I wasn't aware of some of the other. I'm curious to like explore some of the other systems that exist out there, just because for us, especially in the imaging for images, not for likeliness, we use it more to conceptualize ideas that we have, and then we try and if we can't draw it out or something, I'm trying to get AI to like create something that's in the likeliness of like what I would like to pitch to my client. It has no clue. It's so bad. And I actually was wondering, as you were talking about the prompts, if the prompting of images would kind of follow along the same suits where you're really trying to feed it in that exact way. Because I'm like, I must not understand how to prompt this computer. I'm like, take away the third arm coming out of his hip, right? Like very basic things right now. So I haven't been able to use it as much as I would like to because I'm trying to conceptualize like really different ideas, but it's hard to get AI for myself, like to actually understand what the heck I want it to do, right? So.
Absolutely. And especially with different models, they have different specialties as well. So for example, Claude is really recognized as one of the best writing tools. ChatGPT is getting really good with coding as well. So there is a plethora of tools available online. Like I said, I have a slide a little bit later with good references for like aggregators of all the existing tools, and it's also just fun to play with a bunch of them and see the outputs it gives you. But yes, prompting is the main way of using AI to your benefit. And like people will talk about dumbing ourselves down by using AI. But if you use it properly, I find it really interesting to make me think about how I ask questions, what I'm asking, as much on AI as in interactions with people. Like a good example is back in the days, I used to work at Apple and they had the Apple steps of services. So ask, approach, probe, and stuff like that. And they're all stuff that I've actually adapted in my way of communicating with people without even knowing. So by using AI, you might, by using a proper prompt, face the problem in a different way or come up with a creative solution to a problem. AI can also help you with that answer, but your prompting will really give it, make it give you a better output. So yeah, especially for stuff like pictures, stuff like videos, it's super important to be very descriptive in what you want so it can give you exactly the output you're looking for.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. Matt, and I had the same issue. Elisa, ChatGPT is not good with images despite your best effort. If you say like keep everything the same but change like 2 fingers up instead of 3, it will not listen to you. It'll be slightly different. But I think you're right, Matthew. Like, people say, I haven't done it, but like, Mid-Journey is the famous one for images. Like, I just wonder if ChatGPT is not the right tool. I wonder if it's just not the best one for images. I really don't know, but I definitely tried to make like just 1 or 2 things in an image and it just would not listen.
Oh, but like I said as well, it's evolving so fast that from one week to another, the model can completely change and becomes really good. So that's why it's important to also play with a lot of the tools just to see what output it gives you. So yeah, Mid-Journey right now is one of the most recognized ones. For example, Sora was really good at the beginning for generating videos, but then VO3 from Google actually took over as the best tool for it. So it's always a push and pull throughout all the companies that are coming up with new stuff and coming up with new models. So that's why it's important to just keep reading a bit and see which model is better for what. So like I said earlier, Claude is better for writing. Mid-Journey would be better for imaging than ChatGPT. But the outputs are also dependent on you giving it a good prompt.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So here's my little list of resources. These are all good examples of aggregator. I mostly use Futurepedia, but there are so many of these. If you go have a look on the websites, they'll basically give you ideas of which AI is specialized in what exactly. So grant requests, some AIs are specialized in analyzing Excel files. There are so many uses of that you probably have not thought about other than just creating text and content. Coding is a really good example as well. You could basically build a website from scratch using ChatGPT just by using the coding functions in it.
Yes,
So,
and Level. Matthew, do you know Level?
No, the
So Level is crazy. It's like a ChatGPT where you just type in what you want to prompt, but it's specifically for developing websites. So I did one for my little sister who wants to be like a makeup artist, like butterflies and stuff at kids festivals. And all I said was, she lives here, she wants to do this, she would charge this, and make a website. And that's all I wrote, and boom, the website was made. And it was 7 out of 10 with very little prompting. But you can actually say, like, make a really simple Uber, done. Make a really simple DocuSign, done. Like it's crazy for making websites. Yeah,
I was really impressed with the coding when I used it on ChatGPT and other things.
Wild. So anyways, I could talk a long time about this, but I have to run and go back to my other job.
Not a problem. I passed my time anyways. So if you guys have questions, or if you guys want a specific Lunch and Learn subject, you are free to write to me. I will be sending out a survey probably tomorrow just to get your feedback and ask you for ideas for different Lunch and Learns. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you for assisting. Thanks, Lacey, for answering my questions.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Have a very nice day, guys.